he was really there. She couldn't hear what he was hearing. Voices entered the woods, male. Their words were unintelligible, but their tone lit by obvious urgency. He tossed the branch aside and looked back over his shoulder. The muddy slope rose 5 feet, almost over his head, concealing their approach. There was only one way to go. He turned back to the creek. Keeping his steps light, as ice protested beneath him, he skipped gingerly past Pamela. He swiftly hoisted himself up over the opposite bank, his gloved hands grappling with mud for a second before he got a leg up. As he climbed, he heard a sound like a hand gathering tin foil, but he didn't look back. At the top of the bank, he turned. Where Pamela had been, shattered ice bobbed on the black currents. He scanned the smoky glass of the rest of the creek, searching for a sign of her passage underneath. Beyond the shattered ice, flashlight beams stabbed the woods. He drove the crumpled scarf deeper into his pocket, turned from the creek, and accepted the invitation of the darkness on the other side. Part 1. Atherton, November 2001. Not slowly wrought, nor treasured for their form in heaven, but by the blind self of the storm spun off, each driven individual perfected in the moment of its fall. Howard Nemerov, Snowflakes. Chapter 1. The neon yellow sign atop the Yankee Savings and Trust building flickered to life at just past 3 in the afternoon, its light-sensitive timer tripped by the tide of gray clouds advancing off the Atlantic, casting downtown into gloomy winter shade. Since the building's completion in 1984, the townies who lived at the base of the hill would joke that the tallest and newest addition in Atherton's meager skyline liked to send everyone home early during winter by announcing nightfall several hours prematurely. By 5:30, the last of the insurance adjusters and bank tellers made the short walk to the railroad stations where they would board commuter trains that would carry them as far as Boston and Connecticut, leaving behind an empty stage set of Art Deco entrances and sidewalks blown clean of litter by the increasingly ferocious winds off the bay. As the city below drained of life, Atherton Hill glowed with a corona of light. An early winter had stripped the hill, naked branches spider-webbed among Gothic spires and Victorian rooftops, and the streets snaked up the hillside toward the university campus, laid bare in winding concrete strips. The water of the bay usually warmed any snowfall into dreary sheets of rain. By 7 o'clock on the evening of November 14th, fat flakes filled the halos of the street lamps lining the paved banks of the Atherton River, a black vein curving its way around downtown. The snow fell with rare and determined force, clinging to the pavement and refusing to melt. Shouts erupted across the crown of the hill. Dorm room windows flew open and students burst from the library, headed for the nearest cafeteria to commandeer its piles of trays to use as sleds. By less than an hour later, however, the hill had quieted, the continuing snow blanketing the campus with an eerie hush. At the base of the hill, squealing brakes and abrupt shattering of glass broke the silence. Headlights bounced across the whitening Colonial Avenue bridge, dancing across guardrail and then black water. A Volvo station wagon tore through the barrier, arced silently through the air for 15 feet, and vanished. A small car stuttered to a stop, and its driver got out, slipping on the snow as he jogged breathlessly to the torn opening in the guardrail. Below, the black water of the Atherton River embraced the Volvo's upended taillights amid torn metal and ice. After the shriek of brakes and the shattered glass, the only sound now was the disgusting, rhythmic thump of air billowing out of the shattered rear window in cartoonishly large eruptions. As the man watched the car withdraw from sight, he went to brace himself against the guardrail, but retracted his hands like someone nervous of leaving his fingerprints on a murder weapon. Catherine Parker couldn't move her feet. She looked down and saw they were wedged under the wooden crossbar of the railroad tracks she had been standing next to only seconds before. She heard the mournful moan of a locomotive's horn, and then the tracks stretching out on either side of her erupted in a concert of metal against wood. She was blinded by the headlight of an approaching train, roaring toward her out of darkness that had been immaterial only seconds before. Her arms went up to stop the inevitable.